Egypt, land of the Pharaohs, the pyramids, and a traffic system that could qualify as an extreme sport. This is a country where crossing the street can feel like a military training exercise in itself. For thousands of years, Egypt has been a center of civilization, science, and yes, warfare. The ancient Egyptians weren't just building massive stone monuments, they were also fielding armies that dominated the region for centuries. But in modern times, the shine faded. For years, Egypt's military was powerful in size, but lagged behind in technology. It seemed stuck with outdated equipment, hand-me-downs, and the occasional "we'll upgrade later" promise. Many thought Egypt's days of being a top-tier regional military were over. Well, surprise. Because Egypt's armed forces have staged a comeback so big, it's making generals across the Middle East and beyond sit up straighter in their chairs. And if you think Egypt's military is just about marching past the pyramids during parades and playing the national anthem really loud, think again. This is a force that's modernizing fast, with serious firepower, strategic reach, and a very clear message. The Pharaohs are back, and they've traded chariots for fighter jets. Egypt's military has a long tradition of punching above its weight. In the 20th century, it fought in multiple Arab-Israeli wars, including the Yom Kippur War of 1973, where Egyptian forces pulled off one of the most daring and successful river crossings in modern military history, right across the Suez Canal, under enemy fire. For a brief time, it seemed like Egypt could be the military giant of the Arab world. But as the Cold War ended, the big spending and steady flow of advanced Soviet gear slowed to a trickle. The 80s and 90s saw budgets tighten, alliances shift, and Egypt's armed forces relying heavily on older systems and foreign aid. By the turn of the millennium, a lot of their tanks, planes, and ships were solid, but aging. It was like a veteran boxer, still dangerous, but no longer in peak condition. Then came the 2010s, and with it, massive change. Political stability returned after turbulent years, and Cairo started writing some very large checks to rebuild its armed forces. But Egypt didn't put all its eggs in one basket. Instead of buying from just the US or just Russia, they went full military supermarket mode. France will take your fighter jets and warships. Russia will take your helicopters. Germany, send over some submarines. China and Turkey will have some drones. Thank you very much. And here's the kicker. It's not just about buying. Egypt has also been investing in domestic production, assembly lines, and defense industry partnerships. They're not content with just importing, they want to build, which means in the future, they won't have to rely as much on outside suppliers. In the skies, Egypt's Air Force has had one of the most dramatic upgrades in the region. The trusty F-16 fleet is still there, but now it's joined by sleek French Rafale multi-role fighters, fast, agile, and perfect for both air-to-air combat and precision strikes. Add in Russian MiG-29M fighters and Su-35s, and suddenly, Egypt's air power is looking a lot more unpredictable to anyone watching its borders. The rotary wing side got a huge boost too, with Russian Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters, heavily armored, and able to operate in the desert heat or over the sea. And let's not forget drones. Egypt has picked up Chinese Wing Lung UAVs, Turkish Bayraktar, TB2s, and is even exploring domestic drone production. These aren't just for surveillance. Many are armed, making them cheap but deadly tools for modern warfare. With regular joint exercises alongside NATO countries, Gulf allies, and African partners, Egyptian pilots are gaining valuable experience in modern tactics. In short, if you're thinking of entering Egyptian airspace without permission, don't. The Suez Canal isn't just an economic lifeline for Egypt. It's one of the most strategically important waterways on the planet. Whoever controls it controls a major artery of global trade, and Egypt takes that role very seriously. Their navy has undergone a complete facelift. Modern FREM frigates from France, Gawain corvettes, and German Type 209 submarines. The crown jewels, 2 Mistral-class helicopter carriers, massive amphibious assault ships capable of transporting hundreds of troops, tanks, and helicopters anywhere they're needed. Think of them as floating military bases that can project Egyptian power deep into the Mediterranean, Red Sea, or even the Indian Ocean. Unlike some countries that keep big ships just for ceremonial purposes, Egypt actually deploys them. Their navy regularly participates in joint drills with Greece, France, the US, and Saudi Arabia. And yes, part of the job is making sure no one ever tries another ever-given situation in the Suez again. Egypt's army remains one of the largest in the Middle East and Africa, with over 400,000 active personnel. It's also one of the most experienced. Decades of training, desert warfare, and counterinsurgency have kept it sharp. One of Egypt's biggest strengths is its tank corps. Thanks to a deal with the US, Egypt produces the M1A1 Abrams tank domestically. This means they can maintain, repair, and upgrade their armored forces without waiting on foreign shipments. Add in modern artillery, multiple rocket launcher systems, and armored personnel carriers, and you've got a force that can move fast and hit hard. Then there's the Special Forces, Egypt's Thunderbolt units. These are elite soldiers trained for rapid deployment, counter-terrorism, and unconventional warfare. They've been key in the fight against insurgents in the Sinai Peninsula and in securing Egypt's borders. Geography has always been Egypt's secret weapon. Sitting at the crossroads of Africa, the Middle East, and Europe, Egypt has influence in multiple regions at once. It guards the Suez Canal, maintains one of the longest-standing peace treaties in the Middle East with Israel, cooperates with Gulf allies, and works closely with African nations on security. It's also active in peacekeeping missions and humanitarian operations. In other words, Egypt's military isn't just about fighting, it's about securing political influence and stability far beyond its borders. Here's the big picture. In less than a decade, Egypt went from an aging defensive force to one of the most capable militaries in the Arab world. Its navy is among the most modern in Africa. Its air force boasts a diverse and deadly mix of aircraft, and its army remains massive and mobile. Other countries might have been busy in political gridlock or shrinking their militaries. Egypt was rebuilding, training, and buying every bit of modern kit it could get its hands on. And that's why analysts who once dismissed Egypt as past its prime are now paying very close attention. So, what's the takeaway? Egypt's military comeback isn't just about shiny new weapons. It's about smart strategy, diverse partnerships, and a renewed sense of purpose. The world might still picture Egypt as the land of pyramids, camels, and ancient history. But modern Egypt is building warships, flying advanced fighters, and fielding elite troops ready for action. The pharaohs of old once ruled an empire through innovation, ambition, and power. Today's Egypt is channeling that same spirit, only now the chariots have been replaced with Abrams tanks, the archers with precision-guided missiles, and the desert caravans with amphibious assault ships. And to Egypt's neighbors, don't worry. Cairo's not out to pick fights. But maybe, don't try blocking the Suez Canal again. We all remember how that went. Now, if you're wondering what I meant about don't block the Suez Canal again, let's rewind to March 2021. A massive container ship called the Ever Given managed to wedge itself sideways in the canal during a sandstorm. And when I say wedged, I mean it was stuck tighter than a jar lid you can't open, no matter how many times you hand it to your friend. For 6 whole days, one of the busiest trade routes in the world was shut down. Hundreds of ships piled up on either side, carrying everything from oil to IKEA furniture. Global trade lost billions, shipping schedules turned into chaos, and the internet had a field day with memes of a single, tiny excavator trying to dig it out. Now, here's the thing. This wasn't a military blockade, but it showed just how strategically important the Suez Canal really is. In any real conflict, controlling it would be a massive power move, and Egypt knows it. The canal isn't just a source of revenue, it's a global choke point. Anyone who messes with it risks not just Egypt's anger, but an international economic meltdown. So, when I say, don't block the Suez Canal again, it's less about war threats, and more about, let's keep the world's shipping lanes open, yeah? Cairo would really prefer not to have to explain to 12% of the planet's trade why their cargo's taking the scenic route around Africa.